Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Arthur Ashe. Arthur Ashe was a pioneering American tennis player who became the first black player to win single titles at Wimbledon, the US Open, and the Australian Open. Beyond his athletic achievements, he was known for his civil rights activism and humanitarian work. Welcome to Business in the Black, the podcast where ideas become plans, plans become actionable items, and actionable items become results. Business in the Black is your go-to podcast for aspiring and established black entrepreneurs. Each episode dives into the inspiring journeys of black-owned businesses, highlighting their triumphs, challenges, and lessons learned. Whether you're thinking about taking the leap into entrepreneurship or are already running a business, we provide expert advice on essential topics like funding, marketing, operations, and scaling. Our mission is to empower and uplift the black business community by sharing knowledge, resources, and success stories. Tune in each week for motivation, practical strategies, and a network of support to help you turn your vision into reality and amplify black excellence in business. My name is Brandon D. Morgan, and I will be your host each and every week. Thank you for joining. Tribe of Noise Music. This week's episode will center around the what and the why. What is the current state of black entrepreneurship, and why is this podcast important for you? The Pew Research Center published an article on February 2023 and updated it February 12th, 2025, a look at black-owned businesses in the U.S. Written by Rebecca Lephart, there are some really interesting facts in this article. Black business owners are more likely to be men than women. Some 54% of black-owned firms in 2022 had men as their majority owners, while 39% had women as their majority owners, and another 7% had equal male and female ownership. They tend to be middle-aged. Half of black or African American business owners who reported their age group were ages 35 to 54 in 2022. Another 26% were 55 to 64. 16% were 65 and older. And this was really interesting to me because I thought about, like in 2020 and all of the content creators and people doing their own businesses, but just 7% were younger than 35. For me, anyway. A majority have a 4-year college degree. Among owners who reported their highest level of education completed, 27% had a bachelor's degree, 34% had a graduate or professional degree beyond the bachelor's degree in 2022. That's 61% of business owners that are well educated through the higher education realms. About 7 in 10 black-owned firms, that's 71%, had between 1 and 9 employees in 2022. In addition, every 3 in 4 businesses have less than 5 employees. Professional, scientific, and technical services, comprising of about 14% of all black-owned businesses. Transportation and warehousing, about 9%. Administrative support and waste management and remediation services, about 8%. Retail trade, about 7%. Accommodation and food services, another 7%. You may wonder, why is this important? Well, we need to know kind of where the gaps are. Because if you are saying that 7% of black-owned businesses are food services, and you think about all the restaurants we have, that means there is still a lot of room for you to, make your dreams come reality. Again, this is the podcast where ideas become plans, plans become actionable items, and actionable items become results. Another interesting fact is most black or African American majority owned businesses, like 90%, are located in urban areas, 5% in rural areas, that is, places with fewer than 5,000 inhabitants, according to the Census, Bureau's definition. So there's another 5% that could not be classified by community type. I say that because think about like in heavily populated, again, those urban areas, businesses can pop up. You feel like you're going to be so much more successful because there are so many more people, but that 5% could definitely grow. I mean, because if you think about it, there are so many people in rural areas that have amazing ideas and they just need to put them into action. Or should I say, you just need to put them into action because you're the one listening. So why do people go into entrepreneurship? Well, about 9 in 10 of those who responded to specific surveys said a very or somewhat important reason was the opportunity for greater income. Of course, making more money. Why not? And then another group said a desire to be their own boss or wanting to balance work and family life. Seeing business ownership as the best avenue for their ideas, goods, and services, about 88%, and having flexible hours, about 87%, were also commonly cited reasons. So, that makes sense, right? Yeah. For most Black or African American majority owners, their business is their primary source of income. So, when you're supporting, somebody that is in business and that's a Black business, this is probably all they're doing. They're not doing anything else. This is their, as we say, the bread and the butter. Of those who reported primary income information in 2022, 71% said this was the case. So 71% of Black-owned businesses, it's either it works or it doesn't, and I have to go find something else to do. I'm pouring my all into this. So support Black business. According to Ellen Perot's article, Black entrepreneurship growing at fastest pace in 30 years, but challenges to success remain, Black business ownership directly leads to economic empowerment and wealth creation. But far too many Black entrepreneurs continue to struggle with systemic barriers that make it difficult to be successful, stated National Urban League President and CEO Mark H. Morrell. Data also indicates that 53% of Black business owners have higher debt payments than their peers in other racial groups. This has resulted in more than a third, or 38%, of Black business owners being forced to delay plans to expand their businesses, while 28% find it difficult to refinance existing loans. Black-owned businesses are 3 times more likely to be labeled a higher credit risk than their white counterparts, making them more likely to experience significant barriers when trying to borrow money in support of their business. This source comes directly from the Federal Reserve Bank via AEE. In addition to all of this other, Black-owned businesses are rarely awarded governmental contracts, resulting in there being an underrepresented among government contract awardees. Despite the challenges, here's where the resilience comes in, because that was a lot of heavy stuff. Despite the challenges, I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. Despite the challenges Black business owners face, including the recent political conflict over DEI programs, there is still some good news. Black entrepreneurship is growing, as the title said, at the fastest pace in 30 years. That's resilience. That's the Black story. That's Black business ownership. That's you. It is essential to recognize, I guess I was just foreshadowing this, but a quote says, "It is essential to recognize the resilience and innovation of Black-owned businesses," Morrell stressed. At the same time, he advised that it is also essential to realize that communities, states, and nations still have a long way to go to ensure that Black business owners have equal opportunity to launch and grow their businesses. Jeff Weiner says, in the 5 steps you need to take to get your startup from paper to lunch and then to infinity and beyond, 5 steps. Number 1, create a detailed business plan. You have to write it down. Write the vision, make it plain. Number 2, he says, find funding for your startup. I'm going to move that. I'm going to move that down to the end. Number 2 for me is establish your team. Right now, like that was literally something that I was like, I can't do this by myself. Oftentimes businesses fail from the beginning because you're trying to do it all by yourself. You're not the master of all things. You might be a jack of all trades and master of none, but you need people. You need people to help you, to help your vision really come to life. So establish your team. Make sure that you're marketing. Number 3, marketing, branding, and web design. People need to be able to see something and immediately know who you are. Immediately see a logo and say, oh, that's that podcast I was talking about. Oh, wait, that's the photographer I was talking about. Oh, wait, that's the car dealership I was talking about. Oh, wait, that's the clothing line I was talking about. They need to be able to see it and know it's you. So make sure that you're, putting effort into marketing, branding, and web design. And then number 4, never forget who your boss is. You want to know who your boss is? You're my boss right now. Without you, nobody's listening. So I need you to listen so that there's a reason that I'm doing this. There's a reason, So again, making sure you know who your boss is. Your customers are always your boss. And then, again, once you've got a detailed business plan, establishing your team, you've got your marketing, so you've got your setup, go find you some funding. Go find you some. Because even if you get all of those things done and you have to wait a little while for funding, your business is really set up. So make sure that you are rocking with these 5 things. Now, in order that he had, create a detailed business plan. Find funding for your startup. Establish your team. Marketing, branding, web design. Never forget who your boss is. Again, I swapped 2, brought it down to number 5. In closing, start where you are. Use what you have and do what you can. Arthur Ashe. Business in the Black is the go-to podcast for aspiring and established Black entrepreneurs looking to build, grow, and sustain successful businesses. Each episode will dive into the inspiring journeys of Black-owned businesses, highlighting their triumphs, challenges, and lessons learned. You can find us on Facebook at Business in the Black, TikTok at Business in the Black, Beluski at Business in the Black, Instagram Business in the Black Pod, P-O-D. Our YouTube channel, all one word, Business in the Black Pod. Spotify, Business in the Black. Apple, Business in the Black. Thank you for joining us. Again, my name is Brandon D. Morgan, and I will serve as your host each and every week. We look forward to you joining us and really, really getting to know Business in the Black.
Tribe of Noise Music.